Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and in the most recent 8.2 PTR build, the Memory of Lucid Dreams essence is now properly functioning for both Destruction and Affliction. Previously, it was only functioning for Demonology, so this means that we now get to see how it functions with the other two specs. Before we get too far into that, if you're interested in any of the weak auras or add-ons you see here, I'll have a link in the description to my Twitch and Discord where you can find them all. Now, it is still pretty early into 8.2 PTR, and a lot of things will indeed be changing, but I am pretty excited to get a better feel for the Memory of Lucid Dreams essence, as well as Destruction and Affliction with increased resource generation. Although I doubt Affliction will feel very close to how it was in Legion resource-wise, it's at least a step in the right direction, so let's jump right into it. Now, I will say that Destruction does indeed feel much better now that Lucid Dreams is functioning properly. One of the things that I was most interested in testing was a build consisting of Lucid Dreams, the Soul Conduit talent, and a Chaos Shards Azerite trait. While Dark Soul Misery has been the go-to choice for raiding counters on live servers, I wanted to see if there's any merit to the previously mentioned build. After playing with said build, I can safely say that it is an absolute blast to play with, while also, at times, granting you an insane sequence of 4 or more Chaos Bolts in a row thanks to Lucid Dreams and Soul Conduit. Fitting 4 Chaos Bolt casts into one Havoc window is pretty simple, and when running Flashpoint Azerite traits or under the effect of a large haste buff, you're even able to fit in 5 Chaos Bolts into a Havoc window, depending on RNG. There were, however, a few small interactions that I wanted to investigate, revolving around both Lucid Dreams and Soul Conduit with the Chaos Shards Azerite trait. Chaos Shard states that whenever you fill up a shard, there's a 4% chance to generate a Soul Shard over 4 seconds. Now, I was hoping that the filling up a Soul Shard effect would proc off of a Lucid Dreams refund, but sadly that does not appear to be the way it's currently functioning on PTR. It most likely procs off only the actual player building a shard by a spell cast, which is unfortunate in a sense, but will most likely make the shard generation even more degenerate at times. Another issue that's present with Destruction on PTR revolves around the actual Vision of Perfection essence and the random Infernal that it summons. Currently, most of the actual Infernals die once they land, which amounts to very little Immolation Aura or melee damage provided by them. The interesting thing about these procs, however, is that they're actually granting a full 30-second Grimoire Supremacy window, as well as a full 30-second Crashing Chaos window. It does indeed still reset any previous Supremacy windows you might have when it procs, but granting a full 30-second window off a reduced duration Infernal is really strong. There was one actual time where my Infernal procced off a Vision and did not die, to which it seemed to live for the entire 30-second duration of our main player-bound Infernal, which might explain as to why we're being given full Supremacy / Crashing Chaos windows currently on PTR. What I expect to actually happen here is that Blizzard will probably reduce the Supremacy window the Vision proc grants you to the same duration as the actual Infernal it brings with it, in addition to also reducing Crashing Chaos's duration from 30 seconds to roughly 10, which is about the same time as the random Vision procced Infernal. They've already mentioned that they're going to be keeping a close eye on this essence specifically, and many CD-based effects will need to be looked at further. Even with all that being said, I do think that a Soul Conduit build does hold a lot of merit running both the Vision of Perfection and Lucid Dreams essences. The fact that you now have more Supremacy windows outside of your 3-minute player-bound Infernal cooldown, in addition to the insane shard generation this build brings, which effectively means more Chaos Bolts in those windows, I think could push Soul Conduit to potentially being a contender in 8.2. When it comes to Affliction, however, it still feels pretty underwhelming running Vision Perfection as well as Lucid Dreams. The spec simply does not spend shards nearly as quickly as both Destruction or Demonology, and even when it does spend shards, it does not spend as much, which further decreases the value of Lucid Dreams in a sense. Even when running a build consisting of Soul Conduit and Lucid Dreams, the results were still really disappointing. I do think in its current form that Affliction will most likely benefit from running a different minor essence in place of Lucid Dreams, but there's still plenty of time for actual tuning. The Vision of Perfection major essence for Affliction is also a very similar story. When compared to Destruction's Infernal and what it brings with it, or Demonology's Demonic Tyrant, proccing a random Dark Lair is pretty underwhelming outside of your actual opener or right before you cast a Death Bolt. The minuscule 2-second dot duration increase it brings will typically only get you 1 additional Shadow Bolt cast off, and let's be honest here, our Dark Lair's Eye Beam damage is nothing when compared to Demo or Aph's Pet CD damage. The reduced cooldown duration it brings with it is nice, however, and when paired with Dreadful Calling, it typically lines up your Dark Lair CD with pretty much every Dark Soul cast you have as well, which is powerful in a sense. Soul Conduit was refunding roughly 5 shards over the course of a 3-minute sim, so the additional CD reduction it brought with Dreadful Calling was pretty negligible when compared to just running Dark Soul Misery. Having your Dark Lair line up with DSM every 2 minutes gives you some extremely powerful burst potential on a pretty short duration. However, the random Dark Lair procs are just super underwhelming most of the time. I feel that if the random Dark Lair extended your active dots by maybe 4 seconds, then it would hold a good bit more value, but it's just an underwhelming proc outside of your opener pretty much. When you see an Infernal proc for Destruction or a Tyrant proc for Demonology via Vision, you know there's big damage coming regardless of the actual point in your rotation. When you see a Dark Lair proc, however, when you have 2 to 3 basic dots up and 1 UA rolling, it's honestly pretty disappointing. Only time will tell where both these essences fall for Affliction, but in their current form, they really don't bring a tremendous amount to the spec, I feel, outside of the Dark Lair DSM alignment. And I could just not end the video without talking about Demonology on PTR, as it's still in an extremely broken state. You're still able to carry over a full 15-second Supreme Commander buff into your actual player cast Tyrant if you get good procs, and the potential damage each Tyrant cast or proc brings with it is just insane. I've been testing with 2 builds, one being 3 Baleful Invocation and 3 Supreme Commander, and the other being 3 Baleful Invocation, 2 Supreme Commander, and 1 Demonic Meteor Azurite trait. The additional shard generation that the Meteor trait brings you can lead to some insane sequencing, to the point where you don't actually have to even cast Shadow Bolt for 30 or more seconds, as you're just swimming in refunds and demonic core procs. The 1100 intellect each Supreme Commander trait brings with it is just insane as well, especially at a full 15-second duration. I do expect Blizzard to change the duration of Supreme Commander when it procs off of a Vision Tyrant / reduce the actual intellect buff it brings with it, or actually just do both in a build pretty soon. Going into another Tyrant cast with a 3400 intellect buff is just insane and is a massive increase to the subsequent Tyrant's damage. In the end, I have not totally decided if I think the 1 Demonic Meteor trait is better, or if I want a full Baleful / Supreme Commander build, but I can tell you one thing, they both have a decent bit of RNG tied to them, but bring an insane amount of overall damage. Thanks for watching, guys. Now that Lucid Dreams is functioning properly for Destruction and Affliction, I hope this gave you an even better understanding and first-hand look at how it's currently performing on PTR. Destruction with the Vision and Perfection / Lucid Dreams combo just feels awesome as you're launching so many Chaos Bolts in a short period of time. The same can be said for Demo with the back-to-back Tyrant procs, but sadly Affliction still feels pretty bland, honestly. Thankfully, there's still a lot of time left in 8.2 PTR, which leaves a whole lot of time for class tuning and essence changes. Let me know what your thoughts are on each spec in the comments below, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them there and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to see more WoW content and help support the channel, smash those like, share, and subscribe buttons as your support really helps. If you're interested in any of the week or add-ons you see here, there's a link to my Twitch where I stream 5 or 6 days a week, as well as my Discord in the description where you can find them all. Thanks guys, and I'll see y'all again soon. Peace.